We are here at the University of Southern Mississippi after the debate here on the campus, and we are talking about how the debate went. We're here with Bobby Moak and Keith Hurst, and my co-host with the moderator right here with Greg Hurst with WREG, the evening anchor there. Let's talk a little bit, Bobby, about how things went tonight. What did you think about how the debate went?
Listen, I sat at the top of this auditorium, and it was a nice packed house, and Hood came out swinging. But I'll have to say that, Governor Reeves also came out, popping. So I think both of them had a nice audience here tonight, and all of them were cheering. I know y'all had to kind of calm them down just a little bit during some of that, but I was really, really happy to see Governor Hood come out and make his points early and swing hard.
You heard him, Keith. He said Governor Hood come out.
Yeah, that was a Freudian slip, I'm sure.
Yeah. What was your analysis of what you actually saw up there on stage?
Well, I thought two top politicians in their prime battling it out for the governor's election. They both did a great job of making their points and getting it out there. I think General Hood's strategy was to try to get Lieutenant Governor Tate off balance early, and he popped him quick and went after him. And Tate maintained his composure, stayed steady, and systematically went after him in counteroffensive.
I know who you think won the debate. I know who Bobby thinks won the debate. But in my estimation, I think it was the voters who actually won, because for the first time we saw these two on stage really talking about the issues that mattered to them and to the state. And I think that was really beneficial for people who were watching. What do you think?
Well, it was a very excellent debate, and y'all did a very good job putting it together in the University of Southern Mississippi. It looked good. It was professional. Both up candidates. It was good political theatrics, and that's fun to watch. And people enjoy seeing it.
And instead of just getting a soundbite, they actually got some in-depth analysis from these candidates, and I think got to see what they were thinking and where their mind was going with the campaign. What do you think, Bobby?
Yeah, well, it was a quick hour. It really was. It was a quick hour watching it, and I mean, y'all threw a lot of questions at them, which were good, and he gave them a little bit of time to follow up on that too, and really get into the point that they were trying to make. So, there were some good zingers thrown, which, those who watch politics like that sport, and so that always makes good. But I think people are really interested in this race this year. It is one of those races that we've really not had this in a gubernatorial election in Mississippi for quite some time. Probably, what, Keith, 16 years?
Yeah, since Musgrove Barber.
Musgrove Barber, and so this is one of those pivotal years. And of course, on the Democratic side, we're excited about it because we think it's a coattail race. And when we watch those and look at those August 6th primary results, we like the coattails of Hood going into this race. Look, there's no surprise. Both parties have recruited candidates from supervisor and constable all the way up to run, and we have a lot of folks on the ballot, and we're glad that Hood's at the top of the ticket, and he's espousing some things that people are liking to hear right now. And I think it's good that they're getting into issues, because people are making up their minds. They're getting to hear folks talk about things and vet them there.
For those voters who are on the fence, are they walking away with any better idea of which way they might go for those who are maybe independent?
I don't know. I think so. But again, we, on my side of the fence, just really do believe that there are some issues that people want to hear about. They want to hear about roads and bridges, and they want to hear about education, and they want to hear about health care. And the point that Hood is bringing is, hey, listen, if you think you got a tax break, raise your hand. If you think that they have been doing a good job on the roads and bridges and infrastructure, take a look out your front door, because all of that tax money has been given away to somebody else. And that's why there's no money at the local level. That's why your supervisors are raising taxes on schools and to do roads and bridges, because the legislature no longer has a road and bridge program, and they're not sending any tax money back. And that is what it just boils down to in my estimation.
Keith, you're a strategist. You've been watching politics for many, many years. When you hear Bobby say this is a coattail race, how much of Washington politics is playing into that?
Well, actually, what I was thinking is we need to get a bell and hit the bell on Bobby when he's giving these answers.
He's filibustering.
He's filibustering, but it's all great points. So, well, I think the people did come away that watched this, learn more about the candidate. The questions dug down. They were able to go back and forth and talk about the issues. I thought General Hood dodged more of issues and didn't answer a lot of the issues that were put out there. Very generic. It's easy to say that we want to fix the roads and fix the hospitals and do the different things, but then you have to talk about paying for them. And that's what Tate's looking at doing. Tate's doing a good job laying out plans. He's got a plan that we can afford in education and other areas, and we'll just keep moving forward. And I think the people in Mississippi will support Tate's position on those.
I think he did tell them how we're going to pay for them. I think he said all of that money, Tate, that you've been giving away, we're going to get it back.
Yeah, get it back by raising the taxes.
We're going to get it back.
That's how you do it. That's raising taxes.
You're getting the taxes back from big corporate folks, and you're bringing it back into Mississippi, and you're bringing it back into the counties to fix your roads and bridges and take care of your hospitals and take care of your school teachers. I think that's the difference, and I think people are finally putting it together because they're reading their local newspapers after October the 1st saying, gosh, my supervisor just bumped me up 2 mills on my home and business, and they hit me another $1.5 million on education. Where's all that money? You know, where's the tax break? I think that's why I'm calling it this is just me, but I'm just calling it a coattail election because people are now thinking about those kind of breakfast table issues. Ding.
Dang. Well, I mean, I do think, and Bobby's right, and there's a clear-cut decision right here, and this is a debate brought it out, and you can see it, and these candidates are different. One is the more liberal side and doing things, and Tate's more on the conservative side, and it's mirroring what's going on nationally in our politics. And I thought Tate did a good job of outlining bringing Hillary into the mix, and he made sure he was able to bring up Donald Trump, and I think a lot more people like Donald Trump in Mississippi than Hillary Clinton.
You know, for many, many years, if you had a D in front of your name, you couldn't win a state political position. Does Jim Hood have a realistic chance this time, do you think? And if so, how big of a chance is that?
I think he does have a chance. I mean, Bobby is right to be excited about this. Jim Hood's been elected 4 times. He's been the biggest vote getter in some of those elections of any candidate on the field, and but he's running for governor. That's different than running for attorney general, and that's what the people are people who have voted for him for Attorney General, a lot of them are not going to vote for him for governor because they're 2 different positions, and they liked him in the Attorney General slot.
What do you think, Bobby?
Well, I really don't buy that. I think that when you're in Mississippi and you're on the statewide ballot and you get more votes than the current governor got on the ballot and more votes than any other statewide candidate got on the ballot, I don't think those voters are going to leave you just because you move from one office to the other. I think they like what you've been doing, and I think they want to continue that. And I think that it's just old school trying to put this race this year, bringing in national politics and saying, oh, let me paint this guy up with all these national politicians. I think people are smarter than that. They're smarter than that. They can't get past the pothole, issue. They're smarter than that, and they're not buying into that. So I think that's refreshing in that the voters are actually talking about issues and not buying into those national issues that somebody would try to be painted with.
Less than a month before the campaign, before the election day, what does this debate do for those candidates who are going to be on the campaign trail tomorrow?
I think tonight what you did here, what y'all did here, was really, really good because it gets people energized at the local level.
Is it a defining moment in the campaign, do you think?
I think that it opened a gate tonight,
Yeah,
Keith.
absolutely.
I really do, and I think either side, it's going to get people to talking about the issues, and I think that's always good. And listen, I've been on the losing side of those for a lot of years, but I've been on the winning side of them too. And it's always good when everybody votes and when everybody's talking about the issues. It actually makes the elections a little bit more unpredictable too.
Yeah. Is Jim Hood, do you think, part of his success or his appeal now because he is a conservative or comes across as a conservative Democrat?
Well, that's been his role that he's done all these years in pulling it off. And I think what's happening is running for governor, it is a different position than Attorney General. He's having to talk about other issues, such as raising taxes to take care of a lot of the points that he wants to do. And so that's why it's going to change the dynamic of what people think of Jim Hood as this goes forward. I thought it was very telling when y'all asked him about not endorsing the Democratic Attorney General. I mean, as party chairman, I'm sure you weren't real happy about that, but it's a situation of that I've never seen somebody do something like that, and I was kind of surprised that he won't endorse it.
Well, look, the Democratic Party, we endorse all of our candidates. Right. So we do that. But historically in Mississippi, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, and I talked to your newspaper about 2 weeks ago about this. You know, it's up to the candidates if they want to do that. But I ran and served 32 years in the legislature, and I didn't want to, endorse anybody, nor have anybody endorse me, because I didn't want to be weighted down with their politics. And it's just been an old adage in Mississippi, you know, run your race. You can be supportive, and I think we're all supportive.
That was a point that Jim Hood actually made, too.
We're
he said advice from his father.
Yeah.
But it's, but when you get into an endorsement phase, that's a totally different animal. And Jim Hood did bring this up. He said Delbert hadn't endorsed Tate, and that's a hot issue below the radar with the Republicans.
Well, I think Delbert did come to a unity event and where all the candidates said that they endorsed each other, and so in my view, Delbert Hosemann has endorsed him.
Well, we sort of had our own unity event up in Tunica about 3 weeks ago when we had a Democratic dinner, and we had Jennifer Riley Collins, who was our mistress of ceremonies that night. Jim Hood sitting right down front, shared the stage. So I think that's much ado about nothing.
Is it a blessing or a curse that Tate Reeves has an 8-year record to run on since he's been lieutenant governor? As opposed to, you know, behind the curtain really is where Jim Hood has been, even though he's been Attorney General.
No, I think he's got 8 good years to run on, and he's going to make a good point, and it's the record and the growth in Mississippi.
Do you think that's to his benefit?
I think it's to his benefit. We've built up the rainy day fund. We've done a lot of good things, creating jobs in the state. So he's got a record to run on, and I think being lieutenant governor has been good for him.
I'm glad he's got that record, but I wouldn't want to be running on it, and I wouldn't want to be a legislator who is an incumbent with that record either, because they all have the same one on all of the issues that Hood brought up, including I think some other issues they're about to be hit with real quick. But I'm just not thinking that record is really, really good, and that's one of the reasons we're excited.
But on the other hand, if Jim Hood were to win, how difficult would it be for him to govern in a Republican-controlled legislature?
John Bel Edwards is doing it in Louisiana and doing it successfully. So we've seen that. We know how that happens. The governor of Virginia has done it for the last 12 or 16 years, even though that chamber, both of those chambers are now within one vote. So that's not the issue. I think one of the issues Hood tried to bring out tonight is, look, guys, if you think that I'm going to go crazy doing all of these things, I've got a legislature who's going to hold me in check. And that's the way that we are in Mississippi. I'll say Haley Barbour is probably the only governor that effectively used the Constitution to make the governor's chair stronger. And he did that by taking over one chamber of the legislature. Here, it's going to be some checks and balances. So I think that's not a worry that the average voter has to think about.
I did think it was interesting that he said, you don't have to worry about my crazy ideas getting passed because the Republican legislature is going to stop it from becoming law.
I'm not sure it's crazy.
But, he ain't doing that. So anyway, that's the only thing I would say about that is I don't think that was his best moment or best argument for himself, is to say that I'll have a Republican legislature to keep things in check.
Well, he didn't say Republican legislature. He said conservative legislature because, listen, you look at issues like really conservative issues on guns and abortion and things like that. You've got people on both sides of the aisle, supporting those kind of issues or not supporting those issues. So, Mississippi is one of those is a deep South state. We're not Connecticut, we're not Vermont, and so we think of things a little bit different. on a day-to-day attitude. So nobody's going crazy, but there are checks and balances in the process.
It's going to be very interesting. Stay tuned, right?
Yes.
Indeed. Yeah, enjoy it. Good to see y'all.
Great seeing you. Thanks for the perspective.
Thank you, buddy.
All right. Don't forget the election is on November 5th. We are your local election headquarters.